Hello and welcome to Teacher Talk, the podcast for teachers who are lifers but still want to have a life. This is Jared, and as always, I'm joined by my partner, Johanna.
Hey, Johanna, what are we going to talk about today?
Do you need counseling?
I don't know, do I?
It shocks me how many teachers don't use counseling.
For them or for the students?
For themselves.
Okay. You're shocked?
Yeah.
I'm not shocked. Whatever happened to Gary Cooper? You know, the strong, silent type?
What? I don't know what you're referencing.
You watched every episode of this TV show.
Gary Cooper.
No, Gary Cooper's a Western actor from like 100 years ago? Or like 80 years ago?
What show are you talking about?
When Tony Soprano. When he went to therapy.
Yes.
His like constant thing was
yeah.
Guys should be like that guy.
Yes.
Not like me, who's in therapy because I have anxiety attacks.
Right. Well, I think teachers, if they had anxiety attacks, would go, but I think teachers think that we're just supposed to tolerate the stress of what it is to teach on our own. Kind of like how you're just supposed to tolerate the stress of parenting, of being the mom on your own. Like, someone can't say, it's not acceptable in the female community to be like, well, I'm going to counseling because being a mom is hard. It's not accepted.
Yeah, because you're a bad mom.
Yeah, like, it's something that women aren't allowed to say.
It wouldn't be hard if you were good.
I suppose.
Well, no, I'm not actually saying that. I'm saying that's why, that's how the attitude comes out.
Well,
It's because it feels like you're admitting that you must not be good if you need help.
Maybe. Yes, I suppose. So you wouldn't want to say that you were going to counseling as a teacher because then that suggests that...
You must be failing.
Right. But I think the opposite is true. I think the more you care, the more you worry. If you are someone who thinks about your kids and your students and your school world outside of school, like it's just always with you, you may want to try some counseling. Like a teacher I used to work with once told a friend of mine, the problem is you care too much.
Yes.
Yes. And that was awe-inspiring to me because it never occurred to me that that would be a problem to care too much. And it is. It is.
Okay. So I'm open to the problem and the idea.
Okay. But then I feel like we should help teachers know, what does it look like to get counseling for teaching and why should they go and seek this out?
What does it look like
Yeah.
to get counselors for teaching?
Yeah. So it's different, right? It's different than like if you were just someone who needed some counseling, like an event occurred or you struggle with anxiety or right, like this is, I'm specifically getting it because my career itself causes me to need counseling. It's different
Then just,
I don't know. Maybe it's kind of the Midwest thing, but it makes sense to us that we have a doctor. Like we have a family doctor we go to every year. We do a checkup. If something were to happen, we know who we're going to.
Studies show it doesn't actually make all that much sense,
But we don't have that for our mental health.
Family physicians send you letters too.
I think family physicians are important.
Yeah, the science says they're not so. The importance is that you have a relationship for when you actually do need something, which you probably don't.
Oh, good, because that's what I'm about to suggest.
Okay, good. Well,
Okay.
That's a good segue then.
Yes, because it's summer, and our whole focus on the summer is self-care.
Self-care.
And so one of those last podcasts, we talked about how you need to have goals. One of your goals needs to be to get yourself a counselor.
Get thee to a shrink.
Yes. You want to develop a relationship with a counselor because everything in education can be going swimmingly, and then a kid moves in, or you get that class, or you have that parent, and all of this, or that administrator comes, or that teaching partner occurs. Like in education, it is a little manic how you can go from everything is fine to everything is horrible in the course of like 12 hours. And then once you're in it, you're in it. And again, you're too stressed to see that you need help, to figure out how to get help. You're barely surviving. You're drowning. I mean, now's the time to build the life raft in case you were to need it.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. So, get yourself a counselor. Things to look for in a counselor would be someone who you feel you can be honest with, and that's going to look different for different people. And this isn't about if someone has never been to counseling, this isn't the same as, well, I'll just talk to my mom about my problems, or I'll just talk to my spouse about my problems. This is someone who's going to let you view your world from the third person and will help you with goal setting and with solution finding and with emotion control.
And why can't your mom or your friend do that?
Well, unless they have training, they're too in it, right? They care about you. When you feel pain, when you feel stress, they feel pain, they feel stress. You need someone outside of yourself who can also be aware they need to meet you in the summer when you're happy and content and you're taking care of yourself so that they can get a baseline, right? Just like a family doctor is looking for changes, right? A counselor would be looking for changes. So you set up and you create that relationship in the summer. And then you just do check-in appointments so that you can maintain the relationship. But that way, if something happens, you're not in the midst of it, trying to figure out where you're going to go and who you're going to talk to and what you're going to do. You know what you're going to do. You know who to contact.
Right, okay. That makes sense. Someone you can be honest with.
Someone you can be honest with. Okay.
What else?
Here's the other reason.
You said what to look for?
Yeah. Wait, what to look for? What do you mean? Oh, in the counselor?
Yeah.
Oh, I would say, okay, so someone you can be honest with. And then the next thing is someone whose schedule will meet your needs.
Compatible schedule?
Yes.
Like, how's that work?
Well, for example, let's say that part of your stress and anxiety with teaching, let's say all of a sudden the world changes a little bit and what you could benefit from is periodic breaks, then having a counselor where you're going to have to take a half day to go see, that can be beneficial. But if taking a half day off work to go to a counseling appointment isn't beneficial, then you want someone who has evening hours or weekend hours, right? Because everyone enjoys time off, but sometimes getting a sub can be more work than it's worth, and coming back to the kids after having had a sub can be more work than it's worth. So you have to kind of balance that with, does it make you a better teacher to have the time away, or does it make you a better teacher to not have to worry about a sub?
Okay, yeah, that's the decision.
Yeah, so that's basically it. You can trust them, and their schedules will work with you if you are in a need situation.
I mean, you should be able to trust any professional, but you want to feel like you can trust them.
It can be hard if you're in a small town, right? It can be really hard to talk to someone where you are going to be talking about people they know.
Okay.
Right? So you might need to be looking a couple of towns away. I mean, the world is always smaller than you think it is. So finding a counselor that is outside your bubble, who you don't want someone that you have to think in your head, can I say this like this? Does this person potentially know someone I know or someone I'm talking about, the school community is small. Even when there's thousands of kids and tens of thousands of kids, you would be surprised how small the school community is.
So maybe go a little ways away.
It just depends. It depends on what you would trust, right? Same with whether they're male or female or old or young, right? But someone who you won't think twice. Obviously, professionally, they're not allowed to say anything, but that doesn't mean that your mind wouldn't second guess something.
I find that having someone that kind of sees the world the way you do helps too, because that way when I talk, I would like people who kind of think like me, I trust to share things with more, as opposed to someone who doesn't think like me, where I'm like, oh, they're just going to sit in judgment of how wrong I am about everything.
Okay.
Like having a similar viewpoint, I find very helpful.
Okay. Yeah, and a lot of counseling...
I imagine. I've never needed counseling because I'm too strong for that.
I'm just... Oh, Jared.
What?
Whatever. I love counseling.
Hey-o.
Yes.
We know what to look for.
Yes.
What else do we need to know?
Okay. So what you need to know is that check with your insurance, but in my experience, school insurance happens to be very good with emotional help service needs. But if they aren't, your school or your state might have connections to counseling services that would be of better value, like less money, already set up for you.
Yeah. I imagine a lot of schools too are like a lot of corporate things. I don't know if there's some tax advantages or something, but almost everyone in the corporate world has like, I forget even what they're called, like assistance programs. Like you get like 8 counseling sessions for free every year, like no questions asked. You don't even, and it doesn't even involve the insurance. I wonder if a lot of schools have that too.
I found whenever I have recommended to a teacher that they might want to seek out counseling, that they were surprised that they could get counseling without having to pay their deductible, or that the school had a program that was like so many sessions for free.
Yeah.
But then if the counselor deemed necessary, they could continue to get sessions
On insurance or whatever.
Right. So it's just one of the things that I think holds people back is the cost, and then they're surprised.
Turns out it's probably zero, or there's a good chance it's zero.
It's a manageable cost, if there is one.
There's a pretty good chance it's zero.
In my experience, it's been zero, or at least you could get access to some care that is zero.
Or like my company, that assistance program stuff would apply to a spouse or family member too.
Yes.
So like even if your school doesn't, your spouse's work might.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not talked about more. I feel like it's something that as a teacher, I'm constantly like, this kid needs some counseling services, but as a teacher, we don't think about ourselves. And it's
because counseling's for weak and damaged people and no one wants to admit that they're one.
Stop it. But
again, I'm not actually saying that, but that's the attitude that prevails, that causes people to not talk about this or want to do it, right?
Well, I will say it does feel easy to say I need to go to a doctor's appointment and take time off work.
Yeah, because
whereas you wouldn't want to say I'm going to a counseling appointment, which again, in my experience with most school districts in most states, still counts for like a reason to take leave.
It's an illness day.
But, well, it depends. Not all states have illness days or districts have illness days. But it counts as a reason to take time. But, yeah, I suppose there's a little bit of a hang-up to asking for it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Okay. So, let's see. You're going to set up yourself a counselor in the summer.
Yep.
You are going to make sure that they are someone you can trust and that they have a schedule that aligns with your needs.
Oh, so you're doing the recap.
No, I'm remembering.
Okay.
We can cut this part out. Okay. Next thing is you need to pre-set up yourself some appointments for the school year.
Am I not just going to do that when I get to find the person during the summer?
Well, what will happen is the school year is going to start. And so then you'll be like, okay, well, I'll touch back with you, as I need to. That's not going to work because you're not going to notice the change. Like, the point of the counselor is to stop you before you're in the pit and to help you realize that you're getting close to the edge. So whether it be bi-monthly or once a quarter, you need to have already pre-set up. Like, counselors will let you schedule so many in advance. You need to already set those selves up.
Yeah, and once things start going bad, the last thing you want to do is face it clearly enough to do the work to set up the thing that will help with it.
Well, and once you're in the pit, then you'll call and they'll be like, well, we'll get you in 3 weeks. I mean, that's forever. So if you go randomly throughout the school year or times where you know that you've had rough times before, they'll help you realize you're getting closer to the edge sooner. And then they'll be like, I think we need to see you again in 2 weeks. Or they will help you acknowledge that you've stopped taking care of yourself. Like, they'll make you say things like, when was the last time you did something for you? It sounds like you are reliving your day at night and you're not getting a break. And they'll help you with strategies the whole point is to prevent the pit in the first place. And
it's not something you really need to cancel even. Again,
No.
in my imaginary experience, because I've never needed this.
Really?
It's kind of, it's almost nice to go in and have a nothing wrong session and be like, okay, well, everything's going good. But even that's valuable kind of in its own way, that you feel good about how good things are, that you were able to talk to someone that could kind of view things objectively and you didn't reveal any real problems.
Yeah, it's just stepping on the emotional scale.
It helps keep that go. Yeah.
It's just stepping on the scale. And if you've gained a few, it's just like going to the doctor.
You know what I think it's like?
What?
Is a physical trainer. It's because I'm a strong and willful person, I could totally lose weight and get fit myself. And I could probably, but it would be a lot easier if I had a objective third party that would monitor things for me and help tell me what to do. And who wouldn't have a better time getting fit or losing weight with a physical trainer's help? The only reason we don't all do it all the time is because it costs money.
Right.
But here you've got a similar situation. I can be mindful and I can do meditation, which really helps me. And I can try and think about my problems before they become bigger problems. I could do all that by myself because I'm a big, tough guy who doesn't need anyone's help. But when the thing is available, just like the physical trainer, it's just so much easier with that objective assistance. And unlike the physical trainer, it probably is free or not expensive.
Right.
So what's wrong with you that you aren't using this thing that makes everything easier when it's available to you?
Yes. So I think I called this episode, Do You Need a Counselor? But really we should call it, Get Yourself a Counselor.
I'd say, yeah. Do you need a counselor? Needs maybe the wrong question. Are you going to be better off with a counselor?
And will your students be better off if you have a counselor?
And yes.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. It is what helps make me a good teacher because I don't get in a pit because I have an objective person evaluating what I'm doing so that I'm making changes before it gets too bad.
So even if it's free, though, it does cost time. About how much time do you feel like you spend on it if things are going relatively okay?
If things are going relatively okay, counting travel, I don't know. I probably spend, 2 hours a month?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth it. For 2 hours a month, it's worth just the 100%. I mean, that's the other thing with teaching is it's always about someone else and you're always in a hurry. And in February when it's bad and you never have time to do anything, you are forced to just be still for an hour and talk only about you. And just that simple act of doing that makes what you bring the rest of the week better. It makes you better for your kids.
We got a recap?
Recap us, Jared.
Do you need counseling? Yes.
Do you need a counselor?
Do you need a counselor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Unless you don't care at all. And then you're probably not going to be bothered by anything.
Well, then I don't know. I think the women might be a little bit on board, but the male teachers right now are probably thinking I don't need a counselor. I mean, I think men have a bigger stigma to it. And I think that's wrong.
Yeah, but they don't have a stigma to physical therapists. And I think the analogy is really, really sound.
I suppose. But then it's the secret that they think they have. Just own it. It's good for you.
In the summer, you're going to find yourself one that you like.
Yep.
And you're going to set up appointments. What do you say, at least 4?
Sure.
During the school year.
Yep.
Because they need to be there before things start going wrong so that you can course correct.
Yep, they're gonna be tracking for a change. Yep.
You want to find someone that you feel like you can trust because they're outside of any kind of circle that you're in. And do you agree with me on the style thing that helps?
Yes.
And then
yeah, I would agree.
That they have a compatible schedule, which boils down to, would you be taking time off to see them during the day, which can be really nice because it's convenient once you get the time off, and it helps to have a break from the thing that's you're talking about anyway, right?
Yeah.
But then other people might not have that leeway, or it might be more trouble than it's worth to set up the sub to go do that, and you'd rather have someone that you could see on nights or weekends?
Yes, that's my preference.
If you check with your insurance, you might be surprised at how zero to little it costs.
Yes.
Out of pocket for you. And then even if the insurance doesn't cover it, there's a high likelihood that the school or the state has some sort of program, or maybe that your spouse or family member has something through their work. There's a lot of this around that gets underutilized.
Correct.
And then it's good, folks.
It's good.
It
feels good.
And it stops things from feeling bad too. I think it just,
yes,
like you say, the course correction thing is important.
Yep, it makes you step on the emotional scale and either be pleased because you have been taking care of who you are as a person, or it makes you realize you've been neglecting self-care, and that person will help you to make course correction before it feels too challenging.
And because I'm so proud of my analogy, I'm going to say it again, which is you wouldn't turn down a free not physical therapist. Am I saying the wrong word?
Yeah, you mean personal trainer.
Personal trainer.
Yes.
Go back and edit here I am saying personal trainer. Go cut that clip and paste it over physical therapist.
I'm totally leaving all of this in.
All previous times that I said physical therapist, what I meant was personal trainer. you wouldn't turn down a personal trainer.
Right.
Just because you're such a big, tough guy that can lose weight or lift on his own. Right? Because it's just better.
It's better.
Whatever you're capable of, it's just easier with the help.
Yep.
From the objective third party.
Correct.
And if it were free, you'd be a maniac to turn down the personal trainer.
Correct.
But that's kind of what you're doing right now, probably.
Yes.
Trying to manage your own mental state by yourself when free help is likely available to you.
It's like going on a ship and not having a lifeboat. Like, yeah, it's probably calm waters most of the time, even if that's what you're used to in teaching. But, like, a storm will happen. Like, bad stuff will happen. It doesn't matter how good a teacher you are, how well prepared you are. Something will happen, and you need this already set up. So when that thing occurs, it's just a blip on the radar. It's not something that causes you to want to leave the school you're at or the teaching world completely. So yeah, there you go.
All right. Thank you, Johanna.
Thank you, Jared.
Johanna, do you get questions from listeners ever?
Yes, we do.
How do those listeners send you questions?
They send us an email.
Where does that email go?
teachertalk4teachers@gmail.com.
But wait, what kind of 4? How do I do 4?
All of the 4s. They can do a number 4. They can write the word FOR, or they can do FOUR, even though that one doesn't quite make sense.
Well, perfect. teachertalk4teachers@gmail.com.
Yes.
Thank you, Johanna.
Thank you, Jared.
Teacher Talk, the podcast for teachers who are lifers but still want to have a life.